Good morning, Indiana Uplanders, and thank you for joining us for ROI's fourth annual report to the region. My name is Tina Peterson, and I am President and CEO of Regional Opportunity Initiatives, a 501c3 created in late 2015 for the sole purpose of advancing economic and community prosperity in the Indiana Uplands, our region of 11 exceptional counties in southwest central Indiana. When we were last together, 300 of us gathered at the historic French Lick Resort in April of 2019. It was a great day of celebration, of learning, and of networking. We talked about the great strides we'd made as a region in advancing education, workforce, quality of place, innovation, and opportunity. We heard from our three sectors who helped us understand threats and opportunities and learned of their plans to grow workforce in our region. We had breakout sessions, 14 of them, I think. We were learning from peers and partners from our region and beyond. And we again applauded regional individuals and organizations by giving out Regional Innovation Awards. Our agenda for this year's meeting is amazingly similar, but our time together will be, of course, different. Obviously, we won't be entering a big conference room, greeting friends, old and new. We won't be looking at giant screens that bring our graphics and our stories boldly to life. Instead, this year, sitting in front of our individual computers, we are still going to talk about our progress as a region. We are still going to hear from our key sectors. Breakouts are still a part of the agenda, although fewer, and we are still going to honor innovation and excellence with our regional awards. We realize, however, that we'll be looking at things through a bit of a different lens this year, literally and figuratively. Our unbridled optimism from last year is a bit more cautious. The unknowns loom larger, and there seems to be more that is beyond our control in 2020. Our confidence has been dampened by a pandemic. Our main streets are not quite as busy as they were last year. Friends and neighbors are facing uncertainties about work and health, and we've lost a few businesses, some closing, some scaling back. Schools have faced, and in many instances, overcome incredible challenges. And sadly, we've lost some friends, some family, and some neighbors. Our region has not been immune to the complications from COVID-19, and it's important to acknowledge that our world is not the same as it was when last we met. However, I'd like to ask you please to note the title of today's event. The Indiana Uplands, a region still on the way up. It's not a question, but a statement about how we've continued to look ahead, continued to live up to our brand, one we developed together 4 years ago, built upon our key personality traits. We are a region of hardworking, resilient, innovative people and organizations who care deeply for one another. In March and April, ROI, like so many other entities, found it necessary to pivot. We updated everyone's laptops, upgraded our Zoom, created a policy on closing and reopening, and sent everyone home to work, to care for their children and parents, and to be safe. We also delayed our annual meeting, as you see, and our housing summit. We rescheduled many convenings, postponed grant deadlines, converted and extended contracts for things like Fab Labs, master planning, professional development, and our new work-based learning initiative. We canceled STEM Fellows graduation and finished Ready Schools work via Zoom. Waiting perhaps naively for things to return to normal, our team began reaching out to schools, educators, LEDOs, community foundations, and employers to ask how people were doing and what we might do to help. In response, we collected and curated STEM learning resources for students and parents to use at home and put them on our website. Things like Tinkergarten from Home and Code Break, NASA STEM Home, TED Ed Lessons, and Home Safari by Cincinnati Zoo, to name a few. We canceled our red carpet premiere for the career awareness videos and instead made them available online. ROI's When I Grow Up and When I ROI's When I Grow Up, I Want to Be video series, as well as the Careers in the Uplands video series for older students and adults. We also shared the resources of others like the IU Center for Rural Engagement's map of community Wi-Fi hotspots across the uplands. It wasn't long, however, before our phone began to ring a bit more and the resiliency of the uplands began to make a reappearance. Not knowing what kind of bandwidth people might have to move forward virtually in the midst of many hardships, we began to test the waters. First, we offered the 4 school districts finishing up their Ready Schools planning years the opportunity to present their culminating strategic plans to the ROI advisory team in late summer. All 4 refused. They wanted to present earlier, to continue moving forward, to be prepared to launch their plans over the summer, ready to offer new opportunities to their students when school started in the fall, even if virtual. By July, ROI had awarded just shy of $2 million to these 4 districts, right on schedule. Money they were going to use to launch transformative plans for their schools. In Linton Stockton, they had adopted a future forward mantra evidenced by their decision to become a Project Lead the Way immersion district, offering STEM-based project-oriented approach to students in grades preschool through high school. They will focus on career exploration for all students through new pathways in engineering, biomedical, and computer sciences. This aligns with reimagined learning environments, including a flex lab makerspace, a fabrication lab, and an innovative center for career connections. To make this all possible, they have added professional development time each week to support collaboration Ready Schools implementation. Monroe County Community Schools, serving 11,000 students, is focused on creating college, career, and life-ready students. With a plan grounded in project-based learning, they will focus on STEAM and hands-on learning, career awareness, entrepreneurship, community, and industry partnerships. New to our region will be Incubator EDU and Mix Inc. EDU, cutting-edge curriculum for youth entrepreneurship. They will open a project-based learning lab to support professional development across the district and add an outreach and innovation coordinator to support the partnership component of project-based learning. Their Academy of Science and Entrepreneurship will become an early college high school focused on 5 upland relevant pathways. Richland Bean Blossom has built a strategy around their newly created graduate profile aligned with the rebranding for their district. They will focus on innovative teaching and learning, career readiness, and family and community engagement. They'll add digital fabrication labs at junior and senior high school level and video production equipment at makerspaces. They're also constructing an innovation learning center. White River Valley School District plan is constructed around 3 building blocks: ready students, innovative teaching and learning, and community and regional engagement. With an emphasis on entrepreneurship at the high school level, they have established Wolverine Enterprises, a series of student-run businesses aligned with high school CTE classes and local industry partners. They will add redesigned maker spaces in every building and STEM coordination to support implementation of Project Lead the Way in grades 4 through 8. Their focus will be on working closely with post-secondary institutions to offer students unique programming and dual credits. Joining the 11 upland school districts that preceded them in the Ready Schools initiative, these districts have immersed themselves in a catalytic approach to systemic change in their schools. Change that will support a key tenet of the region's strategic plan: to build a workforce pipeline to support opportunities in the region's key industry sectors: life sciences, advanced manufacturing, and defense. It was a very similar story for the 9 regional schools participating in ROI's Digital Fabrication Lab pilot. Working with DevX, an entity from Chattanooga that cut its teeth developing school fabrication labs with Volkswagen, these upper elementary, middle, and junior high schools have been anxious to stay on track with their fabrication lab pilots. This summer, many received the equipment to set up their new lab spaces for fall 2020. While the professional development necessary to launch the labs has been delayed, lab teams have immersed themselves in learning and mastering their new innovation spaces. Labs will use a form of project-based learning called Maker PBL to allow students to develop problem-solving skills as they create functional solutions to real-world problems. Through this pilot, we will complete a continuum of experiential and STEM learning opportunities for students. It's part of a plan to build out an unrivaled ecosystem of K-12 innovation here in the Uplands, a region committed to preparing young people for success. Combined, all the work described in the last few minutes is intended to grow an education innovation ecosystem that is unrivaled. New to our region in just the last 3 years as a result are 13 fabrication labs or maker spaces, 6 career or future centers, 4 student-run businesses, plus more at Wolverine Enterprises, 4 academy models, multiple entrepreneurship, college immersion, project lead the way, and project-based learning programs. One of the biggest regrets we had last spring was the abrupt way we had to end the 3rd cohort of STEM Fellows, a program that grew out of early conversations with school districts and STEM experts about how to enhance and reinforce STEM learning in early grades. Knowing that the region needs a pipeline of STEM-capable young people, the STEM Fellowship has become a regionally embraced vehicle for building a network of STEM educators. We were reticent about launching the 4th fellowship this summer as a virtual offering, given that the year-long experience has always been very hands-on. Participants learn from experts and from each other in a highly interactive and sensory-focused environment. Fellows also regularly visit local employers as a cohort to gain the relevancy needed to align classroom instruction with the real world of work. We knew that educators were being asked to teach under very different circumstances this year and prepared ourselves for a limited response, but made the decision to move forward with a creative but virtual strategy. Much to our surprise, the 2020 cohort is not any smaller than previous ones. With 16 fellows from 10 districts, this group has embraced the digital format. They've already participated in engineering design process training, as well as completed hands-on STEM challenges. We shouldn't have been surprised that our elementary school educators would be creative and adaptable. With this new cohort, we now have 80 fellows representing elementary and middle schools in 21 of 27 school districts across our 11 counties. They are spreading and advancing STEM education for our youngest learners in a very powerful way. One of ROI's most promising new programs began as a work in process during the winter of 2020. Working with ROI and KSM Consulting, a team of regional educators, counselors, and employers have been working as a design team to create a new multi-year work-based learning experience for students and employers. As one of only 3 regions to invited to participate in a statewide community of practice around youth entrepreneurship, ROI and the design team have been visioning an approach that is regionally relevant and demand-driven, meaning it aligns with the jobs and skills needed by Uplands employers today. Post-pandemic, our design team agreed to finish up the process virtually, and we are pleased to announce today a new program that we call the Indiana Uplands Upskill, Work, and Learn Initiative. Upskill is comprised of 2 interrelated but distinct components, the Uplands Work and Learn Network and the Upskill Career Development Program. The Uplands Work and Learn Network is a collaborative of school corporations, higher ed institutions, adult education providers, and employers. This network of career guidance professionals will work collectively to grow the capacity of the region to provide relevant, informed career guidance to Upland students. To that end, ROI will launch a career guidance fellowship in the coming months. Like our STEM fellowship, it will provide these career guidance fellows with resources, professional development, and regional connections to provide guidance to students, a missing component in a region of small schools with very, very lean counseling and guidance departments. An application to participate in the first fellowship will be available before the holidays. The Upskill Work and Learn Network will see the success of the Upskill Career Development Program. ROI is currently seeking local industry partners to build out a pilot class of employers willing to become part of this innovative new approach to work-based learning. Designed as a multi-year competency-based work-based learning experience, employers will have the opportunity to begin building a relationship with future employees while they are still in high school. ROI will work with employers to build out work-based learning experiences aligned with high-demand jobs that will allow a student to work with the employer during their junior and senior years and potentially first year post-secondary. The experience will not be for all students or employers, but it is built upon successful models in both the United States and Switzerland that are reducing both recruiting costs and hiring risk for employers. Upskill will be differentiated from other work-based learning programs because of a framework that incorporates work experience, dual credit, credential attainment, career guidance, and competency-based learning. The Upskill Work and Learn initiatives have the potential to be a win-win for school employers. More information is coming, and in the new year, we'll begin working with schools and employers to identify students for this program. Canceling our housing summit in April was a big disappointment to ROI and the Regional Housing Technical Committee. This event was meant to kickstart the transition from study to action. The Indiana Uplands Regional Housing Study, completed late last year, gave us the data county by county to understand just how much housing we need in the Uplands. And collectively, it's a big number. 14,000 units, both single and multifamily, owner-occupied and rentals, need to be developed in the next 10 years to support our growing region and growing employers. The study also provided recommended solutions on how our communities might address the barriers to housing that repress housing development in rural communities like ours. The summit was meant to offer real-world examples from experts about how we might begin project by project to advance housing using some of these strategies. Undeterred, however, the technical committee, working with ROI's new VP of Economic and Community Development, Lisa Abbott, made the decision to convert the summit to an online webinar series over 8 weeks this fall. So far, hundreds of people have logged in to participate in the first 4 sessions. They have heard from Mayor Denis Johnson of Huntingburg, a leader in bringing higher density single family housing to the Uplands region. From Mike Sudol, who has created infill strategies to bring commercial and residential properties to downtown Spencer. We've tackled a range of relevant topics for our region, hearing from practitioners, developers, and including experts from the IU Center for Rural Development, one of our sister organizations, and Indiana University about a housing toolkit for communities to evaluate investments in housing. I'd encourage you to join the last 2 sessions on how to finance development and addressing the quality of housing in the region. As a bonus, today in the breakout sessions at 10:45, Amy Hasse of RDG, who conducted our regional housing study, and Jerry Reamer of Urban Village Development will address the missing middle housing that appeals to those who want to live in walkable communities close to work and near transportation arteries. Missing middle housing refers to the housing types between single family and mid to large apartment complexes. These housing types appeal to a range of residents and are missing from our construction mix. Recordings of housing webinar sessions will be available in a soon to be established housing library on ROI, and I encourage you to use that library. This spring, ROI was scheduled to open the 3rd and final round of Ready Communities grants. These grants offer implementation funding for projects prioritizing each county's quality of place and workforce attraction plans completed in 2019 with planning grants from ROI. We knew communities were eager for ROI to make this implementation funding available, but our second round of grantees had been struggling to launch their grant projects because of COVID-related delays, and we worried that counties would not be able to pull together the necessary collaborations to make the grant projects attractive for funding. We delayed the launch of the program, but made the decision in May to restart the process. Either our timing was very good or we had been mistaken about the ability of communities to pull their projects together. We received 59 grant applications with requests of many more times more than what we had available to award. 17 applicants were invited to submit a full application, and 8 of those made presentations to the evaluation committee recently. Last Friday, the ROI Board of Directors approved the committee's recommendation to fund 6 projects, including one in Brown County to expand the newly proposed 3- and 4-year-old preschool program at Brown County Intermediate School to include a classroom for 2-year-olds. The program will operate in coordination with Brown County High School's Child Development Associates Path of Study, addressing one of our biggest early learning challenges in the region, workforce. A grant to Davies County Economic Development Foundation will support phase 1 of the Crane Gateway at WESTGATE at Crane in support of a recently completed master plan. It will include gateway and streetscape improvements at the main entryway into WESTGATE Certified Technology Park. The grant to North Lawrence Community Schools will allow the district to expand childcare services by providing high-quality childcare to families with children ages birth to 5 and strengthening the early childhood training program housed at the North Lawrence Learning Center. Orange County Community Foundation will serve as the fiscal sponsor for a community and volunteer-led effort to build the Paoli Community Playground Project. This playground will come to life through a community build on the grounds of the youth sports complex. The playground will offer community members and visitors a quality, handicap accessible recreational facility, the only one of its kind in Orange County. Washington County Community Foundation worked with the IU Center for Rural Engagement and Serve Design Center at Indiana University to design a project they call Salem Pocket Parks, a connection to our heritage. The project will include small parks for social gatherings, new green space, public art celebrating historic female citizens, and much improved pedestrian connectivity between the Central Square and cultural museums at the John Hay Center. Also in Washington County, the Economic Growth Partnership will use their Ready Communities grant to develop both primitive and modern overnight campsites and amenities at Lake Celinda, which is becoming a recreational hub for Washington County residents as well as regional visitors. An additional planning grant is in the works with Martin County for an innovative approach to rehab housing in their county. With these grants, ROI has now completed the Ready Communities grant program as originally envisioned, funding more than $500,000 in planning grants and over $3 million in implementation grants. While this funding program has now reached its conclusion, ROI will continue to work across the region to advance quality of place as an essential component of our long-range strategies to advance prosperity in the region through a focus on education, workforce, and quality of place. To that end, ROI launched a new digital inclusion planning effort just last week. No issue has been more regularly cited as a barrier to success in the uplands than broadband and connectivity. Its impact on workforce attraction, housing development, and business attraction has always been a concern. In the last 8 months, it's become an even more significant challenge for individuals working, going to school, and accessing healthcare from home. The region has made strides in addressing this shortcoming in the last 5 years. Several communities have secured broadband ready status. Brown County took advantage of new legislation to bring broadband to more households in its county. And just recently, 8 uplands counties were awarded next level connections grants from the state of Indiana, totaling almost $13 million to help connect more than 2,000 households, businesses, farms, and other institutions. Despite that progress, we are still behind as a region and are going to stay behind unless we move forward deliberately. We are challenged not only with access, but with speed. As our region tries to achieve minimum speeds of 25.3, the standard for speed, many have learned during COVID that it's a speed that is insufficient to support a family bigger than 3 people trying to work and go to school at home. To be successful, this region needs to be focused on ensuring every household has both access and speed. Fast today, by the way, is often considered speeds of 100 or more megabits per second. ROI is offering communities up to $5,000 to participate in a local digital inclusion planning process with ROI and the Purdue Center for Regional Development that is focused on not just infrastructure, but also ensuring users have devices and digital literacy skills. Many believe that that additional funding will be made available by state and federal organizations in the coming months and years, and they encourage communities to be ready to pursue these dollars. To be prepared, we need to understand just where our gaps exist. FCC data often does not accurately represent the realities on the ground here. As part of the planning process, communities will create advisory teams to collect information about the realities of digital inclusion in their neighborhoods, communities, and rural areas. With this information, we will be armed with the details necessary to create county by county plans and to build a regional strategy for pursuing the level of service that we need in the uplands, service that translates to opportunity and the ability to compete. In just a few moments, we will transition into a conversation with leaders from our three key sectors. From the beginning, what has differentiated the strategic plan for economic and community prosperity in the uplands is its emphasis on a holistic approach to advancing in the region through education, workforce, quality of place, and innovation initiatives aligned specifically with the sectors that give our region the greatest opportunity to thrive. Sectors that are poised to advance in a 21st century economy driven by the rapidly advancing role of technology. Attracting and developing talent and investment aligned with emerging technologies is a priority for the uplands. Our sister organization, Indiana Innovation Institute, also funded by the Lilly Endowment, has taken a leadership role in working with the regional, state, and federal entities to advance this region as a national innovation hub. With the growing prominence of local employers, contractors, and higher ed institutions in areas of emerging opportunity like AI, machine learning, hypersonics, and microelectronics, the region must wisely make investments in people and places if we are to position ourselves as a leader in our key areas of sector strength. At last year's annual report, we talked about a new effort to conduct a feasibility analysis and master planning for the WESTGATE Crane Technology Park located in a high-value location within our region, alongside a new terrain interstate just outside the gates of Naval Activity Support Crane, the third largest naval installation in the world, and home to Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane and Crane Army Ammunition Activity, or CAAA. It is currently home to 40 technology-focused enterprises and 3 higher education partnerships. The feasibility and master planning effort that ROI undertook with Teconomy Partners and Perkins and Will is now completed. A multi-phase strategy for developing and growing the technology park is uniquely aligned with the opportunities born from an unusually large tech park located in a rural area on a major interstate. The concept for the park is unique to us as well. The WESTGATE Crane Certified Technology Park will be a park within a park. The natural features that might otherwise impede development will now become natural amenities that lend themselves to recreation. The site will ultimately be home to many employers and amenities that will allow people to work, live, and play in a park-like setting, something of great value in a geography previously identified by the Epley Institute as a park desert. ROI and the WESTGATE Crane Steering Committee released an RFP last week for a development team to launch the master plan on behalf of the region. As an outgrowth of the master planning effort, ROI is also working with Teconomy partners to refine the region's defense technology cluster strategy. The analysis conducted for WESTGATE Crane emphasized the opportunity that exists across the region due to significant evolution of NSWC Crane's technology and innovation capabilities. With a growing contractor base, increased DoD funding captured by IU and Purdue, and the growing success of entities like the Indiana Innovation Institute, this region has the opportunity to grow the defense technology industry sector and build a vibrant ecosystem across multiple counties. Defense is certainly not the only sector that is responding to emerging market trends, as we'll learn later, and we would be wise to remain vigilant about opportunities in all of our sectors. We do, however, currently have a perfect storm type of opportunity in the defense sector in the Indiana Uplands. I have now given you a pretty quick and pretty dense but thorough overview of some of the many efforts that continue to move the region forward. My hope is that you now have plenty of evidence that the Indiana Uplands is a region still on the way up, despite all that we've been through and what is to come. But just in case you are still not sure, we've asked a few friends to share just a bit about what's going on in their corner of the Indiana Uplands.
Welcome to Orange County. Behind me is the future location of a brand new neighborhood that will feature 20 single-family homes near French Lick. This new housing complex is just one of the many new projects underway to support our growing workforce in the tourism and manufacturing industries. In the next few years, Orange County will add a total of 120 single-family and affordable homes to our community. Expanded housing opportunities is just one of the ways Orange County is a great place to call home, and we are so proud to be a part of the Indiana Uplands.
Hello, we are joining you from Eagle Manufacturing at Brown County High School. These amazing students behind me are gaining real-world experiences by manufacturing and selling their own quality products. Each of them specializes in engineering, design, CNC machining, graphics design, and graphics production. To date, Eagle Manufacturing has made products for over 40 customers in our region. Brown County is a proud Indiana Uplands partner, and this program is just one of the ways our schools are ensuring that every student soars.
Hello from downtown Washington. Behind me is the future home of what we are calling the Commons. Once completed, this space will become a park and central gathering space featuring an open-air plaza and event pavilion, a central lawn, public restrooms, concessions, and a covered parking area for downtown patrons. This project is just one of the ways that we are working to enhance the Indiana Uplands region and develop Davies as an attractive place to live, work, and raise a family.
Hello and welcome to my classroom. I'm Emily Johnson and these are my third grade students at Brady Shrum Elementary in Washington County. As a STEM fellow, I help science, technology, engineering, and math come alive for my students. My fellow teachers and I are empowering kids to explore at an early age and equipping them for high opportunity careers as they grow into adults. The Indiana Uplands is on the way up and Washington County is preparing our young people for the STEM jobs of today and tomorrow.
Welcome to Humphreys Park in Linton, Indiana. For more than a century, this park has been a vital gathering and recreational space in our community. And this year it's getting even better. Behind me you can see some of our brand new amenities, including these exercise stations. Humphreys Park will also feature 2 new pickleball courts complete with lighting and a new sand volleyball court. We're excited about these park enhancements and know that they'll make Linton and the Indiana Uplands an even better place to live, work, and play.
Hello from the Future Center at Owens Valley High School. This innovative multi-use space is preparing for students in the future at Indiana Uplands. We come here to learn about careers, conduct mock interviews, get assistance with job applications, and explore post-secondary options. This is just one of the ways Owen County is connecting us to a multitude of opportunities in the Indiana Uplands.
Welcome to Lawrence County and the limestone capital of the world, and the home to 3 U.S. astronauts. Today, I'm joining you from the Gus Grissom Museum in Mitchell. Our county is known for its pioneers in industry and science. And today, Lawrence County is proud to pioneer exciting workforce and STEM education initiatives. Through programs like the Boys and Girls Club Launching Center, Stonegate Arts and Education Center, Mitchell's Digital Fab Lab, and the North Lawrence Career Center, we are preparing both kids and adults for 21st century jobs in the Indiana Uplands.
Hello, we're coming to you from Lion Manufacturing at Lagodi High School. 2 years ago, my company, Lockmiller Machine Tool and Design, began a partnership with the school. Students in this program have an authentic work experience. They learn the basics of manufacturing and they produce real products. This program has served as a model for other communities, and we could not be prouder of our Indiana Upland students who have used this experience to launch their careers.
Welcome to the Banneker Community Center in Bloomington. Originally, this historic building was a school for black students before becoming a community center in 1954. Today, Banneker welcomes a diverse community with a variety of programs for all ages. And this year, we're breathing new life into Banneker. Thanks to grant funding from ROI and others, we've renovated our kitchen and added new furniture and workstations. We have new video projectors, screens, speakers, iPads, and interactive learning tools. We are excited to welcome diversity and inspire the next generation at Banneker, and we are proud to be a part of the Indiana Uplands.
Welcome to Crawford County, the southern gateway to the Indiana Uplands region. We are here at the Overlook in Leavenworth, Indiana. The Ohio River behind us is just one of the many ways that we stay connected to our communities and major cities nearby. Broadband internet access is another way we are improving our communities. Crawford County is elated that we have been awarded a grant by the state of Indiana's Next Level Broadband program. Our private-public partnership will connect over 1,000 households and 130 businesses to high-speed fiber. In Crawford County, we are proud to be connected to the Indiana Uplands and will be able to utilize the regional housing strategy to build much-needed capacity.
Hello from the Vincent University Jasper campus. 3 years ago, Du Bois County began a journey of radical collaboration between schools and employers. In partnership with local industry, the Automation and Robotics Academy was developed to build a strong advanced manufacturing pathway for our young people. This work-learn program allows high school students to earn college credits and gain real-world experiences through paid internships. We are proud to prepare our students for exciting careers in the Indiana Uplands.
STEM rocks, right? I'm guessing that was the highlight of the morning for all of you. A big thank you to all our participants and to Aaron and Betsy from the ROI team for making this video possible. It was just a quick shot and a snapshot of the many things each of the counties have in the works to grow and prosper as regional partners. For the next portion of our program, we've invited 3 key regional leaders to talk with us about the status of their organizations and sectors. With us today from the life sciences, advanced manufacturing, and national security and defense sectors are, list them alphabetically, Denis Johnson, John Schroeder, and Kyle Werner. I'd like to take a few moments to introduce each of our guests. I'll share a brief bio, but a detailed one accompanied the event details if you are interested in learning more about each of them. Denis Johnson is currently the Vice President and General Manager of Catalent Biologics' largest site, located in Bloomington, Indiana. It's a role he assumed in 2019, and we won't hold it against him that he came here from a Catalent site in Winchester, Kentucky. Denis has over 30 years of experience in logistics, supply chain, and operations, with leadership roles at Boston Scientific, Johnson & Johnson, Teradyne, and other organizations. Denis spent 8 years serving the U.S. Army as an ordnance officer. He received his bachelor's in economics from the University of Wisconsin and his MBA from the University of South Carolina. John Schroeder is a member of the Jasper executive team with over 20 years of service with Jasper Engines and Transmissions. This includes 10 years as transmission division manager at the Crawford County manufacturing facility, among other roles. He is currently Vice President of Driveline Manufacturing, position he's held for 6 years. John is a very busy person, serving on the Indiana Advanced Manufacturing Council, the Board of Advisors for the Schools of Business and Engineering at the University of Southern Indiana, the Southwest Du Bois County School Board, the Huntington Redevelopment Commission, and his parish council. Dr. Kyle Werner is the director of the Office of Engagement at Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane, where he is responsible for strategic command initiatives that contribute to advancing the command's robust and rapidly expanding innovation ecosystem, establishing national leadership roles, and promoting meaningful strategic engagements on behalf of NSWC Crane. Prior to becoming the director of the Office of Engagement, Dr. Werner served as the department director for Applied Science and Demand Management Department, manager for the Energy, Power, and Interconnect Technologies, and deputy division manager for the Flight Systems Division. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Evansville, a Master of Science in Engineering Management from Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology and a PhD in Strategic Management from Sullivan University. He has also been awarded 2 patents for his work in force protection and electro-optics. With those formalities out of the way, I'd like to give you all the opportunity to hear from Denis, from John, and from Kyle. Following the remarks, I'll also have a few questions for each of them. So beginning with Denis, I'd like to offer Denis the screen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak to this forum. And it's my great pleasure to give you a little bit of background on Catalent Biologics in Bloomington, Indiana. Next slide, please. So who are we in Catalent? We're a global leader in providing integrated services, superior delivery, technologies, and manufacturing solutions to help life sciences. So we don't own the drugs. We make the drugs usually for other companies, and they can be the pharmaceutical, the biologics, or consumer health products. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go a little bit out of sequence and give you a kind of a highlight of Bloomington, and then kind of give you the context within Catalent. But I want to kind of talk about Bloomington specifically because of its role in the region. So we are a very unique site. We're almost 1 million square feet. At 900,000 and some change, and we're currently expanding and doing a 72,000 addition. Plus, we just acquired another facility I'll talk about in a few slides. We are very diverse in our population of clients. We have over 50 clients from many different backgrounds, including 18 of the top 25 large biopharma companies. So kind of the who's who of biologics in the world. And we have over 120 molecules currently in our pipeline, which is a very significant number when you look at how early phase we are in biologics. And that's really our focus right in the Bloomington area is the biologics. And it shows some of the indications or the medicines that we use for the patients or we develop for the patients and manufacture for the patients. It is a very rewarding opportunity to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. And one of the numbers that's probably most relevant for this audience is we're currently at about 1,800 employees. Now, just to put that in context, when Catalent purchased Cook Pharmica in about 3 years ago in 2017, in October actually, we were under 800 headcount. We are currently over 1,800, and by I would expect over the next 6 months to add another 200 headcount. So we are growing extremely rapidly as an employer in the area. Next slide, please. So going back and talk a little bit about how we fit into the Catalent overall, you can see some of the different business segments that Catalent services and oral delivery, specialty doses, clinical supply and services, cell and gene therapy, which is another rapidly growing field. Catalent has over 35 sites worldwide, but Bloomington is the largest single site within Catalent and definitely the crown jewels of the biologics franchise for Catalent. Next slide, please. So here are some of the activities we actually perform in Bloomington. We work with clients who have identified a molecule and work for how we can manufacture it, process develop it so the process to manufacture are robust, and how we can put it in a dosage solution that meets the client's needs. We do everything from the drug substance, which means we can make the API, we can take that molecule and expand it in bioreactors. We fill into vials, syringes, or cartridges. And then we can also do assembly into complex devices such as auto-injectors. And we also support that with everything you need to get a product to market. We have our own quality control, we have our own inspection, packaging, stability studies, quality control laboratories. So very much a comprehensive offering all under one roof. Next slide, please. So we are investing, not only are we growing, we're investing significantly in the facilities and the equipment. And since acquiring, the facility from Cook Pharmica, we have significantly invested over $180 million in growing into that site. The most, one of the recent investments was the expansion that you see pictured here, which is just completing construction. And it's a very significant expansion of 79,000 square feet with 2 new high-speed fill lines. And it'll be adding hundreds of jobs to the Bloomington area. based on that expansion. We're also expanding in packaging, and that means for us, packaging includes automated assembly of auto injectors. So we've added equipment to expand that capability within this footprint as well. Next slide, please. And then, so you can see, you know, we've been in the news a good bit recently, both for some of the COVID work that we've been doing, as well as our expansion. Now, we don't normally speak about clients, so most of those 120 molecules, I can't tell you the client name or the product, but many of them would be familiar to you. But there are two COVID vaccine programs that chose to publicly highlight Catalent Bloomington's interface. So we're very active in the COVID front. We're probably one of the, if not the premier filler in the United States for some of the COVID products. And just recently, we acquired another smaller facility of about 22,000 square foot that was available in Bloomington. And we're just in the process of facilitating that and should be getting ready to make runs in the January timeframe. And there you see a picture in the upper left of that new facility we just acquired in town, which is across from the old GE plant. Next slide, please. So in all we do, we keep the patients first. At the end of the day, it's one of the most rewarding things about this job, and the impact that we are in Bloomington, in Catalent, and in Indiana are going to have on the whole country. I truly believe we are playing a big part in what's happening in the development of new medical treatments with biologics. And I think you're seeing that more and more on the COVID front. I truly believe Bloomington Catalent is going to be, as it have been announced in press release, a major player in that arena. And we keep that in mind. Everything we do is about doses for patients. And we know that at the end of everything we do every day, there's going to be a patient taking that product. Next slide, please. So we're not a household name. You know, I think Intel did a great job of branding with Intel inside. I don't think Catalent is that well known, but we are definitely a premier contract manufacturer for drugs, biologics, and services for the healthcare industry. And we are very much grown part of the Bloomington community. And we're very pleased to be in Bloomington because what separates us and differentiates us from some of our competition is our people. And at the end of the day, having a good workforce is really what drives the business. And there's a great workforce in the area. So very much appreciate the efforts. That should be it. Next slide, please. I think we're going to have the questions later in the presentation, but really appreciate the opportunity to give you a quick introduction on Catalent Bloomington. Thank you.
Dennis, thank you so very much. You may not be a household name somewhere, but we think of you as a household name in our region. Just some very interesting statistics that you shared with us, and thank you. Your 1 million square foot expansion, your 1,800 plus employees, adding 1,000 since taking over the organization, $180 million investment in the site. And just the very significant role you're playing around the COVID vaccine. And so how grateful we are to have heard from you and to learn more about the substantial way you are contributing to success in the Indiana Uplands. John, you are up next.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Tina, Betsy, and the rest of your team for inviting me out this morning. Really honored to be a part of this. A little intimidated, though, to be sandwiched between Dennis and Kyle when you look at their backgrounds and their experience. You know, I kind of have the middle child syndrome in here. So, but we'll talk a little bit about manufacturing, advanced manufacturing in the area, and tell you a little bit more about who Jasper Engines is and what we do. We've been doing it right and having fun since 1942. Do it right and have fun is our mission statement at Jasper. And it means a lot of things that I'm going to touch on throughout this presentation, but we've been very blessed for 78 years to have a strong company that continues to grow. We, at the end of 2019, coming in 2020, we established what's called Jasper Holdings Company, which ultimately oversees Jasper Engines and Transmissions, which is the largest group within there, Werner Manufacturing out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and recently acquired Diesel USA Group out of Louisville, Kentucky, of our three main families within Jasper Holdings. Our corporate goals at Jasper Engines and Transmissions, number one is to be the brand of choice for our customers, and secondly is to be the company of choice for our associates and their families. And essentially, when we got together about 5 years ago and came up with this goal, it was centered around when our customers out there in the field need our services, that we're the only brand they think of due to our service and our quality, and the way that we go to market. And then just as important locally for our associates and their families, that we become that company of choice in the community through our behaviors and the way that we support all of our folks in the community. In Indiana, we have 4 manufacturing facilities. We have one in Leavenworth, Indiana, Crawford County, Indiana, a little over 420,000 total square feet. We have one in Power Drive, what we call Power Drive in Jasper, Indiana, over 200,000 square feet. And we have our main plant in Jasper, here in Jasper, Indiana, that we also do have our corporate office out of, as well as our engine manufacturing. And then we have a manufacturing facility in Willow Springs, Missouri, that's a little over 85,000 square feet as well. If you look at the map, all the blue spots on the map are all of our outside branches. So even though most of our manufacturing is in Indiana and Missouri, we have branches and distribution centers throughout the country, primarily located in the Midwest and East Coast. But we have, over the last 10 years, began to really migrate out west. And that's where we see a lot of our growth potential. There's a few spots in red that are upcoming branches, but currently we have 50 branches nationwide and 2 distribution centers, one in Indiana and one currently in Kingman, Arizona, that we utilize to move our product to our folks. So a lot of people, they hear us say remanufacturing, and they often think and picture manufacturing. So what in the world is remanufacturing? Because it is different than in normal manufacturing. And the primary difference is this is our raw material. So a lot of other folks that manufacture things will receive the raw material. It'll be known good product. It'll be brand new. It'll be ready to use. These are cores that we get. So if an individual is driving their car and it breaks down and needs a new engine or a new transmission, we will take their old one in and send them one that we've already rebuilt to match that. But when we get their old one in, that's our raw material. So in our business, to be successful, it's really about your ability to salvage the parts that come in, which is also very friendly from the environment perspective. But it's very important to our product or to our business to be able to salvage parts. Now, we also re-engineer every one of our components so that it meets or exceeds all of the original manufacturer's requirements. So when you're getting one from Jasper, you're getting one that, again, meets or exceeds the OE requirements when it was first built. Our product offerings, again, most of these go into residential vehicles. Many of them go into fleet vehicles. We sell engines, transmissions, differentials. We sell marine engines and stern drives. We sell diesel fuel components. So we have a wide variety of automotive options for folks throughout the industry. A number of our customers, especially our fleet accounts, you probably have heard of. Our number one customer is the United States Post Office. They've been our number one customer for a number of years now. But we also do a tremendous amount of work with FedEx and Verizon, Garda, UPS, the airlines. So this segment of our business is growing quite rapidly. As you can see, when we look at this business, our fleet business is 30%, but at the end of the day, the independent garages, that's the IGO, independent garage owners, are still our number one customer. So we have 50,000 active customers that we call on every year, plus thousands and thousands of other customers that call us. That as IGOs for when individuals' vehicles break down and they need service. So the IGO market is shrinking, unfortunately. More and more people are going to the larger fleet install businesses, and so it's changing the complexity of what we're doing, but that still is our number one customer base. Jasper Holdings as a group, last year we finished just under $700 million in sales revenue. This year, we're even with the COVID, we're blessed to say we're on pace to be at that or a little bit above, assuming that we can finish strong the next couple of months. So who are we? As in any organization, we are a number of different people. We have folks from all backgrounds that come into work for Jasper, everything from nursing to manufacturing to engineering to customer service, accountants, inside sales, test equipment, maintenance. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing I think that everybody at Jasper has in common, and what we've worked towards since 2010, is that we're all owners of this company. Jasper Engines is a 100% employee-owned company, and it truly has made a significant difference over the last decade, and I think really helped us weather the storm this past year. With all the things that are going on, or folks that feeling of being an owner and what that means. So what is an ESOP? It's an employee stock ownership plan. So every year we distribute 1,440,000 shares of stock to our employees. The only employees can have shares of Jasper stock, and we will distribute those over a 40-year basis. So each year employed as an associate, you will get a specific number of shares. As you can see over the years, in our first year in 2009, we were valued at a whopping $2.30. And we have truly been blessed through 2018, which is where this slide takes us. We were up to $462 a share. After 2019, we're at $476 a share. And we're anxious to see where 2020 is going to take us. So you can imagine the impact on our individual associates and their families when you look at this type of growth that they have. To date, so far, since 2009, we have distributed $191 million in stock awards to our associates. And we're really proud of that number. As of 2019, we were actually ranked 50th out of over 640 total ESOPs nationwide. And this year, we think we're knocking on the door in the top 20. So we're really excited. But, you know, for us, it's truly about giving back to the associates and the families that had sold the company to the associates 10 years ago. That was the main motivation. They wanted to do a few things. They wanted to protect our communities. They wanted to give our folks an opportunity to share in the success that we've had as a company. And they wanted to protect the brand of Jasper Engines. And I'm very proud to say I feel like that we're seeing that happen. And hopefully we'll have many more years to grow in this wonderful community that we live in. Thank you all very much.
John, thank you so very much. What an amazing story, 78 years. No question that Jasper Engines is part of the reason why the Indiana Uplands is on the way up. Amazing stories. I had no idea by the number of branches you have across our country, or how significantly you rank in terms of the value of your shares and the way that the opportunities you've created for your employees that are participating as owners. Thank you very much for sharing that information with us, and I look forward to talking to you more in a bit. For the moment, however, I would like to give Kyle an opportunity to join this conversation.
Hey, thank you, Tina. Great to be here with you today. How wonderful the overviews Dennis and John just have given. How lucky we are to have them as employers within the Indiana Uplands region. I'd like to begin today by stating that unequivocally, NSWC Crane is just an enthusiastic partner of ROI. You know, listening to Tina's opening remarks and seeing the video testimonials, thinking about the broad impacts that have been realized across our Indiana Uplands region during just these first 4 years, and knowing impacts that are sure to come in the years and decades ahead, I think it's easy to be an enthusiastic partner. And I'm delighted to be here with you today to support the annual report to our Uplands region. Today, I'm serving on a panel to represent the defense sector across our Indiana Uplands region. And our defense sector consists of many organizations that span industry, academia, and federal agencies, such as the Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane, or NSWC Crane, that I represent. So I thought I'd provide just a bit of insight into the federal agencies at Crane for our viewers. Crane, as we often refer to it as, is home to 16 different commands that make up Team Crane, with 3 of those commands that are notably larger than the others. So I'll speak to them just briefly. First, as evidence on the screen, we have the Naval Support Activity Crane, or NSA Crane, that they're responsible providing reliable shore support that enables mission success for the other 15 tenant commands. On our next slide, you'll see the Crane Army Ammunition Activity, or COHORT. Their mission is to distribute, store, demill, and produce munitions. And ultimately, their mission is about munitions readiness, is the reason COHORT exists. And then the next slide begins the introduction of the organization that I represent, which is Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane. NSWC Crane is a federal laboratory with a reputation for national leadership across our mission areas of strategic missions, electronic warfare, and expeditionary warfare. What you see here is a representation of strategic missions and an Ohio-class submarine that carries a submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Our strategic missions work at Crane is really all about the nation's nuclear triad. For each of our mission areas, we have a tagline that provides a little bit of a description. And for strategic missions, it's deter, defend, and if necessary, defeat our adversaries. When you think about it, the United States' ability to provide credible nuclear deterrence is often credited as one of the top reasons the United States has maintained global superiority since World War II. Significant investments have been made and are continuing to be made in the nation's nuclear triad today. And at NSWC Crane, we provide research, development, test, and evaluation support to each leg of the nation's nuclear triad, and have done so for decades, as long as 64 years for the system that's represented in the picture. Our second mission area on the following slide is in electronic warfare. And our tagline for electronic warfare is to control the spectrum and to control the fight. At Crane, we're home to the Department of Defense's largest concentration of both multi-spectrum and multi-domain electronic warfare expertise. And we lead the Navy in electromagnetic capability development. We provide electronic warfare integrated spectrum sensing technology to control the electromagnetic spectrum in order to control the fight. And our third area is expeditionary warfare. And expeditionary warfare, you can think of support to our nation's elite warfighters. Think of people like Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Green Berets, the Naval Expeditionary Combat Command, and of course, our beloved United States Marine Corps. Really all those that are very expeditionary in orientation with their mission. Our tagline for expeditionary warfare is rapid response and proven solutions. Today, our reality is the highly specialized warfare fighters continue to play a very important role in small-scale conflicts and special operations all across the world. And at Crane, we have a very unique and direct relationship with special operators all across the world to deliver multi-mission sensors and weapon system solutions for increased lethality. At NSWC Crane, our mission areas are highly relevant to our national defense strategy, and as a result, we are continuing to experience significant growth. Our fiscal year, proud to say, just concluded on the 30th of September, and our onboard count was 3,754 civilian employees, along with another approximately 2,000 contractor team members. One would have to go back over 3 decades during what is commonly referred to as the Reagan buildup era to see similar levels of employment at NSWC Crane. As a matter of fact, in the past 3 years, we've hired over 1,100 entry and journey level employees and an additional 400 student interns. And I'm pleased to say the demand is continuing to exercise additional opportunities to grow. For our fiscal 21 projections, we have a hiring demand that is in excess of 300. So as I conclude, I just call to the fact that earlier I mentioned NSWC Crane is an enthusiastic partner with ROI. Firmly believe that partnering with ROI and many others across our Indiana upland regions to create this environment that really is about attracting talent to our region is a strategic imperative for all of our future successes. And this concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Kyle, thank you. No question that you and the team at NSWC Crane have been enthusiastic partners in supporting this ecosystem of innovation that really you have advanced in such a meaningful way and to such benefit for our region. So thank you for that. Thank you for all that NSWC Crane is bringing to our region. And thanks for being here today. Really, thanks to all of you for helping us understand the mission priorities of each of your organizations and the really substantial way you contribute to the health and prosperity of our region. No question that the impact of your organizations on the day-to-day lives and long-term prospects of our region are substantial, and we all have a vested interest in ensuring that this region supports your organizations as you support us. With the time that we have remaining, I'd like to ask you to answer just a few questions. And if anybody else has a question that they want to offer by chat, we can take a look at that as well. But you each touched on this briefly, and I don't want John to feel like the middle child, so I'll let him go first here. But, you know, can you talk to us a little bit more about you know, this current environment that we find ourselves in relative to COVID and the ways that, you know, it's changed things for your organization, the ways that it has created opportunity and maybe challenge as well for your entity?
Thank you, Tina. Yeah, there's no doubt 2020 has been a challenge for everyone, whether it be personal or professional. You know, and I think much like other industries and every person, you know, when March and April really hit, we saw a significant decline in business, but I think we also saw a significant increase in just our folks and the concerns and worries in the area. So one of the most important things we had to do out of the gate was make sure we bring some sense of calm and stability back to our folks and create an environment where they felt safe. You know, we were off at a peak 22% in April and 18% in May. And during that time, you focus really on what you can control. Again, we put a lot of measures in place to enable our folks to come to work safely because we were considered an essential employer due to our business with the post office. So our folks continued to come in every day. And, you know, really at the end of the day, I think it did show a lot of advantages, although there were a number of setbacks. I think we were able to really evaluate many of our costs that we might have felt were necessary, but what really weren't. I think we focused a lot of time on developing our people and sustaining our culture because we have seen an improvement. It is getting better, but we know that we will one day be out of this again. And you hope when you go through moments like this, you'll just come out stronger.
Kyle.
Yeah, I think from an NSWC Crane perspective and really so many others, I think you got to acknowledge the significance of the pandemic, right? Because as you're appropriately conveying in the tone of this topic, Tina, the challenges have been real. You know, whether you're an individual dealing with health-related issues yourself, or you're providing care for an elderly family member, or have young children at home, or a score of whole other issues. The reality is people are being affected in significant ways, and recognizing that and adapting to that, I think is just been such a critical aspect of 2020 success. As I mentioned, our mission areas of strategic missions, electronic warfare, and expeditionary warfare are incredibly relevant. And as a result, we're seeing strong demand. So like so many other of our Indiana Uplands organizations and really Hoosiers all across the state, Crane had to develop a new normal with the pandemic. And honestly, we couldn't be more proud of how innovative and agile our workforce has proven to accomplish the mission over the past 7 and now almost 8 months. We had a significant shift to remote work via telework. At our peak, I think we were roughly 90% working remotely to today around 65%. And very fortunate to learn how much of that could be accomplished remotely. Incredible capability brought online by our IT community to enable those remote operations to be efficient. And I mentioned we closed our fiscal year on the 30th of September. And for sake of time, I won't cite a bunch of specifics, but we had record numbers in contract obligations, receipt of direct funds, revenue generation, funds that we carried into this new fiscal 21, hiring, and then to kind of put a cherry on top, we measured the highest level of customer satisfaction across all the NAVSEA Warfare Centers across the country. So in closing, it's just truly a credit to the agility and the steadfast commitment to supporting our warfighters and the innovative spirit of our workforce.
Thank you, Kyle. Dennis, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, for Catalent Bloomington, I think it's been an interesting challenge because we've had to, our top priority is taking care of people, right? Both the patients that get the doses and our people that work for us. And in this specific case with COVID, it's led to a significant increase in demand for the site where we're having to ramp up. We've added probably 300 people since COVID hit. So in the COVID time, trying to ramp significantly is an interesting proposition. And we've had to take some extreme caution to make sure our people are safe. Whether it's contact tracing, masks, social distancing at work, reorganizing our facility and how to do that, and send as many people home as we could to work from home. So it's been an interesting, and the team has really rallied to significantly increase output in a time that we're really having to work in different ways. And they've done a really great job. Very proud of them.
Thanks, Dennis. I'm curious if you guys could dig in maybe a little bit more deeply about the stresses and strains on your workforce and how you've had to respond and support employees and their families in ways that you might not have, if you have had to, in previous situations. Anybody can jump in.
From our perspective, I think the biggest thing we had to do when this first hit was be as open and transparent with everyone, with our employees and their families and the community, and really communicate and over communicate. So we immediately formed a group, a COVID response group, and our CEO would send out weekly communications at least twice a week throughout the course of this to reinforce social distancing, PPE, but to also update folks on how the company was handling this. If our schedules were going to be varied, if there were additional things that we needed our folks to do, if we were changing, we began doing the contract tracing, we began with different styles of PPE, taking temperatures at the door, but just really trying to calm those fears as best you can, because again, at the very beginning, there were so many unknowns. And so the biggest thing that we focused on was how do we communicate effectively with our people and their families, and try to help them understand that they will be safe if they come in, and we will respond immediately if there are concerns. And we do care about their health and well-being above and beyond anything else.
Kyle or Dennis, anything to add?
Kyle?
Yeah, I might add that was very well said. A lot of similarities as I reflect on our approach. Ultimately, it became about maximizing flexibility for people to perform work given their unique challenges. So not only the max telework strategy that I referred to earlier as we talked about it, but we also instituted a max at flex work schedule to allow employees to work outside of what would have traditionally been core hours to kind of meet the needs that they might have to provide care for others, or to go to appointments during core hours, or whatever the situation may need as the challenges of the pandemic have affected them. We also were very intentional to over communicate, as was mentioned earlier by John. And then I guess the other thing that really kind of jumps out at me in areas that we hadn't dealt with before, or maybe hadn't expected as much. A lot in the way of additional counseling for employees through employee assistance programs, through mental health type opportunities to get support. That was kind of a trigger that really emphasized a real focus on employee engagement in this virtual environment. Recognizing it was entirely different. So we spent a lot of effort with outreach and engagement of employees and really stakeholders across the region externally as well, so that the Crane story could be known and understood, and people could be engaged in ways that they would have typically been engaged when they've been in person in the office or over.
No, very well said. I think very similar for us, very much important to maintain employee engagement in these trying times. And it starts, with our CEO doing roundtables and town hall meetings, virtual town hall meetings weekly, to newsletters talking about the status and simple outreaches if people working from home, gift boxes or things for them to think, there's nothing like opening a gift box while you're at home when your kid's at home, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of stuff in there for the kids, right? So those type of things go a long way. And the mental health is something. There's a lot of stress, and people, especially with trying to work with family, and the house can be stressful. The changes in the school systems, as they've had to deal with it. So we try to handle that stress through special mental health options for our employees. The other thing we've done, and at the end of the day, is there's additional cost burn on some of our employees, for trying to find ways to do childcare and other things. And we've done some special bonuses, really based around what our employees are having to do in this period to come into work. We recognize this is not normal, and we need them. They're essential workers. They're helping solve some of these problems, in my opinion. And so we've gone out of our way as well financially to try to help them out, because at the end of the day, beyond mental health and everything else, they still have to pay the bills. And there's more bills in this period for our employees. So it's something we've recognized.
And just to piggyback on what Dennis just said, I think, that was one of the things we, like many organizations, had a lot of discussions about how are you going to handle the time off. And we made a decision very early on for our folks that we gave them an equivalent of 2 weeks of paid time off that they could take as per their needs, because rather than doing a specific shutdown, since we were needing to continue to provide for our customers, everybody was affected differently. We have a number of our folks, 30% of them, that still have all 10 days left that they haven't had to use them. We're going to allow them to keep them until next year, December, because nobody knows what the next 6 months are going to provide. So trying to give flexibility. And as Dennis said, the reality is the bills still come, and trying to keep folks healthy, both mentally, physically, and financially throughout this time is critical.
Thank you. Grateful for the way that you have responded to and really embraced your workforce. And I know, as we had time, ways that you've supported your communities as well during this really difficult time. We just have a couple of minutes remaining, and I think we'd be remiss if we just didn't take a second to also focus on another significant issue that's really we've been addressing across our region and across our country. And so as over the months, as conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion have grown within organizations, I'm curious how you have responded, what that conversation has meant to your organizations. Dennis, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
No, look, it's a very important question, and it's important for a lot of reasons. It's important for our communities, but it's also important. We need a lot of good people. We cannot afford to have any population not feeling welcome at our site, not feeling included. And we make special outreach and really want to welcome people with very diverse backgrounds. And some of that is we recruit heavily from the military that does a great job of that. We recruit very heavily from different population groups. So I think we take pride in building a diverse community within our site. And it's something that we do really because it's important for our society, but it's also really important for our business. We cannot afford, when we're growing as rapidly as we have, to have any population of highly talented people that go untapped. So whether it's special outreach programs with the colleges, whether it's recruiting, whether it's employee resource groups that try to welcome people from any background, because once we hire someone, we don't want them leaving, or whether it's me going to basically the welcoming sessions that we do for all employees and reinforcing the importance of diversity as a leader of the site and my personal beliefs around that. Those are all elements that we try to do because it is really critical to our business.
I would agree very much with what Dennis just shared, and for us, it's been about a couple of things. Number one, training your organization about what this means and the impact of it, and how do you make sure you are inclusive as an organization, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And if you haven't ever walked in those shoes, it's important to have that level of understanding. But I also think that, especially in this area, we have a pretty strong Hispanic population, which is where a lot of the diversity comes from. And early on, we began hiring a lot of them, but there's a big difference between just hiring them and truly supporting and growing them. And I think our evolution has come from what kind of support systems do we have in place specifically to address the language barrier, the cultural barriers, and trying to get them integrated into maybe a process that is unfamiliar with them. So we do have specific translators on staff that's their whole job. We have a number of our leadership team that are bilingual. We've converted many of our documents over to be Spanish speaking, and we've really begun to integrate those cultures with everyone else. And it's a process, but I truly believe the more and more that we can support and grow those individuals, the more confidence they have, and the more they're going to refer their friends and family come work for you as well. So what we found is it goes beyond hiring and really more into support and development of those folks.
Yeah, I'll just add that I think what Dennis is getting at is right in line, or excuse me, John, is right in line with what we have really put this topic in the central focus of culture. No doubt this topic is receiving a lot of attention across the country, and it is within our Department of Defense and Department of Navy leadership. And if you can close your eyes and think about the makeup of NSWC Crane compared to the other Navy and defense laboratories across the country, it's probably not a stretch to see that we're a bit different than many of the others from a demographics perspective, right? We're generally pretty homogenous as a result of the population that's in our region and state. So we've been intentional to really press for an unconditional inclusion and acceptance culture where basically it's aligned with our values and guiding principles. Ramped up a whole host of different initiatives around employee resource groups, special emphasis groups, a diversity leadership council. We've had outreach and collaborating and benchmarking with a number of partners across the Uplands region, to include Jasper Engines and Indiana University. And we're exploring some external consulting assistance just from a engagement and education kind of an understanding. I think that at the end of the day, we've all heard the notion that culture eats strategy for lunch. And as sound as our mission area strategies are, as important as our technical business and solution sets are, and for all the talent and investment in these capabilities, we simply cannot succeed to the degree that the Navy demands us without all of our leaders actively employing and engaging the core values and embracing inclusion. So I appreciate you bringing this topic up, Tina. Very important to us. Over.
Thanks really to each one of you. I'm sorry that we're out of time. You have all been incredibly interesting, and I want to thank you, Dennis, John, Kyle, for being so generous with your responses and with your time today. We are very fortunate that your organizations call our region home, and grateful for the leadership that you're offering in a multitude of ways. We are now officially done with your portion of the program, so thank you. I hope that wasn't too painful for any of you, but thanks for being with us today. We are now scheduled for a 15-minute break before our upcoming session, which begins at 10:45. Please take a moment to stretch your eyes, stretch your eyes, stretch your legs before joining us for one of our 3 breakout sessions. You all received an email. That email provides the login information for the 3 breakout sessions, and we have a great menu for you. We have one session on what we're calling housing the missing middle, talent recruitment and retention, so building up your talent, and then relative to education systems, the implications of COVID-19, which we know have been significant. Following these breakout sessions, you will have one last link in your email to participate in the Uplands Regional Awards presentation. We'll be honoring 7 pretty amazing individuals, groups, and employers. So enjoy your break and join us back here right about 10:45. Thanks so very much.